Good evening and welcome to Stranger Bridgerland. I am John Olson. Before we get started tonight, I ask that if you haven't, click the like and subscribe button below and hit the bell icon at the bottom of the page and get updates on our next story. If you enjoy this channel, please check out my books on Amazon: Stranger Bridgerland, Beyond Stranger Bridgerland, and Stranger West. Also look for my new books coming in August 2020, Stranger US. Please check out the descriptions for links and references. Now, on to our story. Stranger Bridgerland YouTube series on Haunted Cache Valley. Today's Stranger Tale is Chapter 1, Utah State University. Utah State was founded in 1888 as Utah's agricultural college, and today boasts nearly 30,000 students enrolled. USU has a rich, full history, including a history of the paranormal. For the love of music. It is said many have encountered the spirit of a former student at USU who died suddenly in 1930. The ghost of Thursa Little can be heard playing her favorite song, Rhapsody in Blue, in the basement of the old music building, and some claim to have seen her ghostly silver apparition walking the halls or strolling across the stage late at night. Old Main, the oldest building on campus, is said to be filled with the spirit of long-dead faculty and students. In the basement, a young woman in a black dress and a handful of books and tousled hair can be seen rushing about down the hall, late for a class she will never make. On the third floor, there is a man in an old suit and bowler hat that stands at the end of the hallway, facing away from unsuspecting visitors. The man says nothing, but as you approach, he turns and walks around the corner and into oblivion. Who is this ghostly figure that is afraid to let anyone speak to him? Then there is the sound of mysterious organ music that can be heard on graduation night coming from the tower of Old Main. It's said a young student who had practiced to play the organ on graduation died days before she was able to play, so she is now destined to play every graduation night. Then there is the ghost of Kappa Delta. Her name is Patty. If you're unlucky enough to be given the room number 13 of Kappa Delta, Patty will come tapping at the window late at night. The women of Kappa Delta say she sits in the tree just outside of the window with a red and white floral dress, tapping at the window and asking to come in. Patty is also restless in the house, slamming doors, turning on lights, and moving objects when you're not looking. Most famous of all is the statue of the Weeping Woman of Logan Cemetery. Logan Cemetery sits on the campus of Utah State University. The Weeping Woman was erected in Logan, Utah Cemetery in 1914 by Olaf Conquest in honor of his wife, Julia, who died of heart disease. Julia lost 5 of her children in their infancy, including 3 within 5 years of each other. No one is sure when the legend of the Weeping Woman started, but the folklore varies from person to person. One story states that if you stand before the statue on a full moon and ask, "Julia, where are your children?" 3 times, you will hear the statue cry and see tears in the statue's eyes. Other legends say you must march around the statue and ask, "Julia, where is your baby?" Then you will hear the statue weeping. Many claim to have encountered the statue, and it has become a rite of passage for many youth in Logan and at Utah State University. One such encounter that occurred in the mid-80s was relayed to me by Becky, who will never forget the night she met the weeping woman of Logan Cemetery. Becky's story goes as follows. When I was 17 and living in Logan, a few friends and I were hanging out and watching TV at my friend Nancy's house. There were four of us: me, Nancy, and two of our guy friends, Travis and Trent. It was getting late, and I was about to call it a night when the boys suggested we go see the Weeping Woman. I asked, "What's the Weeping Woman?" And Travis explained, "It's a statue in the Logan Cemetery that if you ask her where her children are, you can hear her crying." I didn't believe them, but was up for a walk, so we drove up to campus and parked the car. After a little walk into the cemetery and a bit of searching, we found the statue. It was a very dark night, and it was now close to midnight. I asked what we were going to do, and Travis and Trent got me and Nancy to stand directly in front of the statue. The white marble of the woman almost seemed to glow as we stood before her. I felt silly, but Nancy and I repeated 3 times, "Julia, where are your children?" After we did, we stood quietly for about 30 seconds, but we didn't hear anything. The boys laughed and we started to walk again. I had been a little nervous up till that point, but not scared. Not, that is, until I noticed Nancy had stopped 10 feet from the statue. I turned to see why she had stopped, and the look on her face was ashen and her eyes wide. Confused, I asked, "What's wrong?" She held up a hand and told me, "Listen." And we all listened closely. The hair on the back of my neck stood up as I could hear a faint cry coming from the direction of the statue. It sounded just like a woman quietly sobbing. I looked back at the boys and could tell they too could hear the weeping. I stood breathless, listening to the quiet sobs that seemed to now get louder and louder. After what seemed like forever, I suddenly heard the pounding of shoes as Travis and Trent took off for the exit. I grabbed Nancy by the arm and we quickly followed. When we got to the car, we all gasped and talked about what we had heard, and we had all heard the same thing. We had heard the sounds of a woman sobbing coming from the statue. I never went back there after that night. Say what you will, but I am convinced of this legend, because that night I lived it. I would like to thank Becky for sharing her story with Stranger Bridgerland. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button and the bell icon to get updates on upcoming videos.